I'm your host, Dr. Shehla Gondal, and I'm so happy that you are tuned to my channel. Already 4 people are there, so thank you very much for watching us. And it's my pleasure, rather, it's my true pleasure that I'm going to welcome Ida Sunniva Sandaas Skjelbakken. Sorry for my Norwegian. I cannot pronounce better than this. And Ida, who is a talented illustrator, author, and world traveler, and whose life is full of creativity, courage, and inspiring experiences, from growing up in Norway to turning challenges into a lifelong passion for art and storytelling. And her journey is remarkable. When did we meet? Of course, we will tell you later that how this happened. Anyhow, the thing is that Ida is here, and Ida, I warmly welcome to you in
Thank
my
you
channel,
very
Style.
much. Good morning to you.
Good
It's
morning
so
to
nice
you.
to be here. Oh, what a surprise. We had a surprise meeting too, right?
Yeah,
Over books, that is, yeah.
our book studies and
The
bookshelves.
first time, yeah, the first time I saw it was in my daughter's school, and you were standing over a mountain of books. Like, what's going on here? This many books, what's going on? You were trying to organize for the library, right?
Yeah,
And that's how we started talking.
yeah, and I
Passion for
told,
books.
yeah, books is common thing.
Yes.
That is true. Actually, those books I told you that I brought from my home, I donated to the
Yeah.
school, and then I organized, and then now they are
Beautiful.
in beautiful shelves.
Yes.
And that was the book reading day, I think, or some day
Yeah, that's
after
right.
that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so. And I'm really excited to have you here. And then
Oh,
I
thank
came
you.
to know that you are a very good writer and illustrator and
Oh, thank you.
artist. So I have
Oh, thank you very much.
so many questions for you.
Yes.
If you allow me, can we start
Of
at the
course. Let's
beginning
go.
of
Yeah.
your amazing journey
Oh, thank
from
you.
Norway to Japan to USA and to so many other countries of world? So, can you please tell us a little about your childhood in Norway
Yes.
and how those early experiences shaped your love for art and creativity?
Yes. Well, I grew up on a farm, or actually different farms. My family moved around a little bit.
Mhm.
My mom, she's an adventurer as well. So they would buy these rundown old big farms and rebuild everything beautiful, big gardens. And then my mom was like, there's nothing more to do here. Let's buy another one. So my childhood, it was a little bit moving around,
Mhm.
but most of
Mhm.
it we spent at a big farm in Tangen, in Stange
Mhm.
kommune.
Okay.
And so beautiful by Mjøsa. We had our own a little shoreline next to the lake and big forests and a lot of different animals. And not many children around. Was one girl living nearby, and that was it, and my brother and I. So it was probably where my creativity and imagination was born. We would just
Oh,
play around in nature and with the animals and make up our own little stories, and really happy. It was beautiful.
yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
really amazing and
Yes.
um, looks like mine as well because I was born
Yes.
in a village in Pakistan, and
Yeah.
when it comes to my memories, although the time spent in the village with my grandmother and grandparents
Mm.
of both sides, that time is little as compared to my whole life. But the
Yeah.
memories are so beautiful, and I most of the time I cherish those memories and write poems and prose about that time.
Exactly.
So
Yes.
that is
Wonderful childhood.
beautiful. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is beautiful
Yes.
time.
Yes.
Okay, and then coming to your school,
Yeah.
you were attending Steiner School, and
Yes.
how attending that school influenced your creativity and perspective on life.
Well, for me, it was perfect. The type of child I was, it was
Hmm.
just the best type of school I could have ever gone to. I still don't know any math. That's the thing, but I know how to knit and do clay and do wooden animals and everything. So I think with the Steiner school, the Waldorf school, you need to be really lucky and get a good teacher.
Yeah.
And because you're stuck with that teacher for many years, and we had the best teacher. And when I talk to my old classmates now, they're like, we were really lucky. We realized, that we had a really good experience in that school.
So
And
you
other
were.
people have
Mm.
not a good experience at all.
Oh.
And yeah, I think it doesn't fit everyone. But if you have this romantic, creative mind, and you love that type of imaginary world, which is a part of it too, you celebrate, like the wheel of the year, and you have these beautiful garments, and you make your own candles, and it's just
Wow.
it's
Wow.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Everything's so
Yeah.
beautiful with
Mm.
these wooden chairs and beautiful colors on the wall and silk curtains, and so for me it was perfect. And I think it probably did shape me a little bit. I was In the beginning, I was very quiet and not shy, but probably because I grew up away from everyone, I stuck to myself, and I wasn't the one that would raise my hand, and I was quite an introvert. And the teacher even talked to my family and said, we worried that Ida, she will be afraid of ever traveling out into the world and be on her own, and you should push her a little more. But they were not worried. And of course,
Okay.
as soon as I turned 15, I actually left home and went to Sweden to work for
Mm.
a horse trainer. So I started living
Okay.
on my own pretty much and traveling the world when I was
Wow. Just
15,
at the
16,
age of
17. Yeah.
15, 16.
The first time
Sounds
I left
really.
home and stayed away, I started taking those courses to learn how to train horses, and traveled quite a bit around. And when I was 18, I moved to Italy the first time to study art.
Mm.
Yeah. So it was
Oh
quite the
God.
opposite. And that's, with my
So
own
you were
kids
you
too.
were
It's just,
an sorry to interrupt you. You
yeah,
were
yeah.
an introvert child, and later on
Yes,
you
very
became so
quiet.
extrovert
Yes. I
that you
was,
tried everything at a very
yes,
young age.
yes. It was quite, I would be afraid of staying at birthday parties without my mom waiting in the car outside. And I was not nervous, but I had this anxiety of, not knowing that I could just be picked up and leave at any time. So
Hmm.
they were worried for a bit, and then everything just boop, it disappeared. So that's, when I see people worried about their children not being brave, to maybe stay at other people's house and go to play dates and all that. Don't worry. Everything has its own time, and it for me it's just it turned quite the opposite of what the teachers would have thought when they knew me back then. So with my own kids, I'm not worried if they have some, mom, I don't want to go to this and this house and stay on my own. It's like, no worries at all. I'll come with you. So yeah, I started traveling uh, around Europe on my own too when I was a teenager, by trains, Interrail. I would just have a little backpack, no money, and no plans at all. I would just go on an adventure around all over Europe. And that's how I first discovered Italy. When I first came there, I was like, oh, I love this place. It's a dream. I want to go here. And how in the world can I go and live in Italy? And then one day when I was back in my home city, I walked into a gallery, art gallery, and I talked to the owner there, just looking at the paintings and everything. And he mentioned, oh, you like art, and you should uh, send a letter to this little Norwegian commune with artists in North Italy and see if maybe they would want you as a living student.
Okay.
And this was Villa Faraldi, and you had Inger Sitter living there, and Fritz Rød, the sculptor, and many of the really biggest artists that we had in Norway. And I was like, no, there's no way they're gonna accept me. I have no real art experience or anything. So, but I
Mm.
wrote a letter. I didn't dare to write to Inger Sitter. I thought she's just too big of an artist.
Mm.
And yeah, I know she was friends with Picasso and everything. I mean, it's just the biggest of the biggest. But Fritz Rød, him and his wife, they read they had several dogs. Maybe they need someone to help around the house. They were getting older, and And they accepted. I was like, yeah, sure, come, that would be great. And I talked to Ingrid Sitter that I got to know
Mm.
later, and she said, why didn't you write to me? I would have said yes too. And I think that's when I realized you don't have to be afraid of just asking. If you have a dream or something seems impossible, you either get yes or no. So the worst thing that could happen, you get a no. That's not always a bad thing either. I asked about other things later that
Mm.
when I got a little older, I had the crazy idea I wanted to join the French Foreign Legion, and I contacted their office in Toulouse and asked if they would accept women, and they said no. And you see, that was
A
a
big
good
no.
thing that it turned out, so I still would
Okay.
be in the French Foreign Legion with no
Mm.
family living somewhere, so yeah,
Oh,
sometimes it's a good thing. But
yeah.
yeah, no, that's the thing, is just if you have any type of wild dream, all I can do is just ask.
Just pursue
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Just
And
follow your dreams.
if follow your
Wow.
dream, yeah. So I had the best year in Italy with the artists, and in the summer you had quite a lot of tourists around. You had the beaches there and everything. And this was a little village, little up in the hills, olive hills.
Okay.
And in the winter, Inger Sitter, she would leave to her house in Antibes in France, and
Mm.
Fritz and his wife would go to his daughter in Mexico,
Mm.
and the little village would just be empty. It was just a few locals living there, and then me taking care of the dogs and the houses. And it was
Okay.
the most beautiful, magical time. Just that quiet little village is just so beautiful.
So that
So
solitude provided you to think about yourself and your imagination
yes.
and creativity.
So yeah, working on my little art, and yeah, that was
Oh.
very good experience. So I was 18 years old, yeah.
Mm.
So after that,
Romantic age and romantic country and such a
yes,
beautiful,
mhm,
vibrant outside things, and
yes,
you lucky
just
enough.
I just that's me, I love the romantic things. But not only
And
it's
this
the
is
and then you asked me to, it's like, then where does this go together with the other things you've done,
mm,
and it's a
mm,
really good question. I think it goes together with the adventure. The other
that,
path I've chosen in my
mm.
life is just that sense of adventure that I always have to.
Yeah,
I used to have,
okay.
I
Mm.
feel so done with all those things now, that I'm just a mom and want to have a quiet life at home. But
Ah,
yeah.
to be just a mom is actually so many things.
Yes,
We can relate here as
best
well.
adventure
Mm.
I've ever had, with
Yeah,
no doubt. Yeah,
that,
definitely.
that's true.
Yeah. So no, so after this day, that one year with the artists in North Italy, I wanted to get to know other places. Not living with Norwegians, it was hard learning the language. I would just speak Norwegian at
Yeah,
home with them, and
yeah.
also I managed to find a job at a museum down south in Calabria in Italy.
Oh,
And I think I started looking for places in the south because when I talked to the northern Italians, they said, "Yeah, yeah, no, it's beautiful up here, it's safe, but don't you ever go down south. That's a different
okay.
country, especially Naples, and
Wow.
it's very divided, the country, especially back then. Maybe it's just
Mm.
it's them and us. We're more like Europeans down there. It's just like countryside and mafia and everything. So I thought,
Mafia.
I want to go there.
Mafia.
I want to check this out.
Okay.
And I
So,
found this place, this work at a museum in Calabria, and it was
mm,
a stable there. And I used to work with horses. They had many horses, and the museum had old wagons. They even had the carriage from the movie Gone with the Wind, and very romantic. It was like built
okay.
like a castle,
Yeah. Uh,
and I got to live in one of the castle towers.
oh.
And it was just me living there at that big property at night. And it was a baron that owned the place, and the baroness. They would live in the city, so I was there on my own. And at night, I would go for
Mm.
these long walks in the olive groves and pick cherries and run away from the wild dogs and the wolf hybrids. And it was just an amazing time too. But of course, everything they had told me that you should be careful about in South Italy, it was true.
Mm.
It's a very
Okay.
difficult place to live, yeah, especially when you come as a foreign young girl. and the crime is just it's so high, and it can get really dangerous, unfortunately. Yeah.
Mm.
So I figured after a while, either I will be too stuck in this and be involved in not good things at all, or I need to look
Mm.
somewhere else.
Mm.
And my mom had seen an ad in the Swedish horse newspaper that they were
Okay.
looking for someone to work at a big stable in Florida, in the United
Oh,
States, at a private airport, and they had horses there. So again, I asked. They said yes, come on over, and then I went to Ocala in Florida to work
so
there
hold
for
on,
a bit.
hold on. So
Yes,
from Norway to Sweden, from Sweden to Italy, from north to south, and from southern Italy to Florida,
to
USA. Oh,
yes.
and your age was only?
Then I was 20 years old. Yes, I turned 21 while I was in Ocala. Yeah,
Wow.
and I figure I need to get away from it, this not good place in South Italy. Was
Not good
they were
place.
poor, and it was, yeah, no. The thing with the mafia, it's really true. And the thing is, it might be you think of mafia from the movies and it's glorified, but it's horrible. It's just taken over the society in such a bad way. And young people, that's the only path they see unless they were able to leave South
Mm,
Italy, and running any business down there, if you're involved, you don't have a chance.
mm.
So, it changed my worldview from going from the romantic place up north and then down south, and I could see, it's just
From romance to
intertwined in
practical,
the
from romance to practical.
yes. So my
Okay.
view had changed a lot after
Mm,
living there. Yeah, it's
mm,
just the most
mm.
horrible, tragic stories.
Oh,
Murders and everything. All of just.
oh,
So one of my friends down there, their mom, they were living on the property. There's these siblings living there, and 26 years in prison for a horrible murder. Just
oh
while I was
God.
living there, yes, yeah. So it's just,
Oh,
I figured it's time to leave, and so I went to Ocala in Florida, and I figured this is the total opposite. It's just this enormous mansion on a huge 700-acre property with a private airport. And the mansion was
mm.
built by the Vanderbilt family. And the wife, she used to be a model. And the husband was a jewelry dealer. So he dealt with colored diamonds.
Diamonds?
Yes, diamonds. He would
Oh,
walk around with this little bag filled
Ida,
with
you are,
millions of
excuse
yes.
me. I want to interrupt you.
Yes,
You
yes.
are born with something very adventurous. I know that your date of birth is 23rd of October and your
Yes.
star becomes Scorpio. And scorpions, they have a long journey, both spiritual and physical, from lizard to hawks. And
How
you,
interesting.
yeah, and that small lizard from transformed to hawk. And
How
I can see
interesting.
that.
I've
I
never
did.
thought of
You
I don't know
you never thought
anything
about it,
about
but
those
I know
things.
astrology, a
Oh,
bit
that's
of
amazing.
astrology, and this is, Scorpio is very different type of star, and I can see a true scorpion in front of me.
How
Oh,
interesting.
wow, wow.
Okay. You need to tell me more about this soon. Yes, that's
I
very
will
interesting.
definitely.
Yeah. Yeah, so in this place, they were dealing
Mm,
with diamonds. They had the
mm,
private airport. John Travolta moves to
mm,
build his own house next to the runway because he
mm,
has these private jets and everything. He comes there with his family. And other celebrities too keep buying houses to have their private jets just in the garage. They could just, straight in.
mm,
And it all seemed really beautiful, glamorous, very rich. And then you see this dark side of this too. And it was just, they had this big property, but they wanted to buy out. This is countryside in Florida, and you have these pretty much just trailers on the property with somewhat middle class poor people, and the way they would just buy their properties, chase them away so they could keep expanding, their and they would even plot murder to get rid of the owners of those houses. They could keep expanding, and you would see like John Travolta's family. You would think, oh, it's big movie stars and celebrities, and It's just the chaos that goes on behind closed
Mm.
doors there too. There's
Mm.
struggles, and uh, in this family, you could tell they were dealing with some shady things too.
Oh.
And I was staying there just on a tourist visa in the beginning, and they went, "We want you to stay longer." I was like, "Okay, we need to do the applications to get the work permit and everything." And they're like, "No, we have an easier way we can do this. We've done this before, and it's a lot quicker. Or else I would have to leave the country, go back to Norway, make the applications, and wait." I was like, "No, I just want you to stay, and uh, you just make new identity, you use a new name." I was like, how in
Oh.
the world do you just do that out of the blue? So, okay, do some research, and then you pick the way you would choose. I mean, and they showed me, the different options of how actually make a second identity, so you could stay
Mm.
legally,
Mm.
in the United States, become
Illegally,
American.
illegally legal.
Yeah, so I was 21 years old by then, 20 years
Okay,
old,
too
and it's like,
young.
yeah,
Mm.
yes, exactly. Your frontal lobe is not developed yet. So,
Yeah.
and you could choose, you could buy somebody's identity that's still alive because they need the
Mm.
money.
Mm.
Horrible thing to do. Maybe they're really sick, they need money to go to the hospital. And so, yeah, they're
Mm.
willing to sell their identity.
Mm.
And you could pay someone to make one that's totally fake, totally false, but it's very risky. So, later it's going to be discovered. And then they told me the way they've done it before for other people working for them, I can imagine. It's you pick the identity of somebody that's dead that would match your age more or less.
Oh.
And you would go to the library and look through the microfilms of old newspapers. I mean, the most basic way
Oh.
possible. And then you look at, the
Who
people that
is
said
dead?
that
Who
died
is
that year.
currently dead? Okay.
And you would imagine this is an enormous task. How can you find someone that
Oh,
would match your age that's dead? Took 2 days, and I found a couple of matches,
okay.
and one was with the name Amanda Dunnigan, and
Okay.
she would have been just, like 6 months, but her birthday would have been 6 months before mine, so we'd be the same age.
Okay. Okay.
And, then you have to and it says there where you were born and then dead, and she would have been born in Kansas, but dead in Florida. And back then with the computers, it wasn't as connected, so as we thought, then they didn't really cross-check that much. So I would just send a letter to the office in Kansas and say, "I lost my birth certificate in the fire. Could you please mail me another one?"
Oh.
And we used the mailbox for one of the neighbors they had bought the little house from. They didn't live
Oh
there anymore.
God.
They just sent the birth certificate. And with the birth certificate, you can, I don't want to give people this recipe now.
Yeah.
I don't recommend it. But you can see the name of the parents and
Mm.
really the hospital you're born
Mm.
and all this other information. And from there, you can start building, but the most simple thing, you get a library card, and then you get identity card, and then you would get the driver license. But first,
Oh.
you would need your social security number. And in the United States, you don't get one the day you're born like you do in Norway. You would have to
Okay. Yeah, we
apply
we
for
just get,
one.
yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So, and since she died when she was really young, I thought she still didn't have one. It didn't say in the birth certificate. So we go to the office to make and, give her, which would be very strange. Here I am, 20 years old, and I never had the social security number. So we need a backstory for this office to say I need a social security number now after 20 years. So we make up the story that I'm deaf and
Oh.
pretty much mute, so I can't speak. Or else they would hear my accent, that I'm Norwegian. And we make just a fake little ID from some deaf institute in Minnesota. So we walk in the office, and I'm sitting there. It's like, can you imagine if someone working here actually know how to speak sign language?
Mm.
But the thing is, when you have some type of, handicap, it sets people a little bit. They get a little bit nervous. They don't check so much, and they don't know how to, you know, they get a little bit more not
Mm.
on the alert, I guess. Yeah.
Mm.
So they just take the computer, and it's like, that's really strange. It's like, oh no, they discovered she's actually dead. I'm dead, you know? It's like, you have a social security number. This is really easy. Here you go. Here it is. It just wasn't
Oh,
written.
so
They
you got
already had one. So then I have everything, the base for making a
Mm,
complete identity and get the passport and everything. But this took,
mm,
it took time, and I kept living there for, yes, a year or so. And I never really had the use for doing anything with it.
okay.
And little by little, I decided my time is up here. It started to it's too many strange things going on in this place.
Mm,
And in the meantime, I had started practicing karate at a local karate studio, and I just loved it. I was like so passionate about it. So I bought a karate book at the local bookstore,
mm.
and it mentioned some of the original dojos in Okinawa, the original karate. And it was just a picture of this little door on this island, and it said it still has a dojo there. It's one of the few surviving after the war in Okinawa.
Oh,
And it's like, I wonder if I could actually go there and become a student. And then
oh
again, it's just all
God.
you can do is ask. So I just write another letter and ask. I just started practicing and wonder if I can come there and be a student. And they said yes.
Oh,
So but
was
that easy,
now
right?
now from USA to
Yeah, to Japan, yeah, to
Japan?
Okinawa.
My God, my God.
So, and
Okay,
then
one thing before
yes,
entering in Japan.
yes,
Actually, although you are answering my questions, which I have,
mm,
but there was one left. That
yeah,
what led you to train as a bodyguard through the
yes,
International Bodyguard Association? And
exactly.
how did you work for a private
Mm,
investigative agency in Naples? Since it's
yes,
in Italy, so it's about
exactly.
Naples. So please tell about that. Then we will go to
Yes.
Japan.
Oh, the thing is, Japan came first, and then I
Okay,
decided to,
then
yes,
it's fine. Then
exactly.
it's fine. Then
And
please.
I never really thought about why did this happen, but I think it
Mm,
probably came from the martial arts. Yeah,
okay.
the interest in personal security and all that probably came
Mm,
from the martial arts. Yeah. So I
okay.
go to Japan and become uchidachi, where you live in student. You can sleep in the karate studio
Mm.
and train there for free as long as you clean the floors and
Oh.
the clothes of the other students that are higher rank, and just you start
Mm,
really on the bottom and you can work yourself up, and it was really fascinating and really hard. And I was I didn't my the fake identity, I just left. I didn't want to do anything with it,
okay.
and I didn't want to overstay my visa in Japan. It was 3 months, so I stayed there those 3 months in the winter, and I was thinking maybe renting a house and be a little more independent and continue to practice. And I went around the island actually looking for little houses. And the thing is, you can get a house for as little as maybe $50 a month, because over there
Okay.
they're very superstitious.
Hmm.
And some houses have bad energy. They believe they're haunted.
Oh,
So
and you went for
I
a haunted house?
So I went to look at this house, and these two girls showing me, the two women, they just stayed out on the road. They didn't want to enter
Oh,
in this big
and you became princess there.
overgrown house. I entered. I didn't hear anyone. As I figured, because they
Mm,
had said they had
mm.
heard the ghosts talking to
Oh,
them. It's like, you need to leave and get out and everything. If they talked to me, I wouldn't understand. I don't understand Japanese that good, so
okay.
no trouble. So no, I entered, and it was all overgrown with these vines and some old photos on the ground, just abandoned. So it was so
Oh
fascinating. I loved it.
God. And you loved it.
And
You were not at all
yes,
afraid
I,
of.
I was considering renting it, but I had to go back to Norway. I
Mm,
had to leave Japan
mm,
for a while,
mm,
and um, so I went back. I visited my parents, and I was thinking, okay, what's my next step? Should I go just back to
mm,
Okinawa, see if I can find some kind of a job there? I need to make some kind of money. Gets expensive just living there, and even if I train for free. And I even started considering joining a monastery, Buddhist
mm.
monastery.
Mhm.
So I found one outside of Tokyo, and I contacted them, and I started going to the Buddhist,
Temple.
uh yes, here, just
Stupas.
in Oslo,
I think
visiting,
it's
yes,
called
and
stupas, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
there you go. So,
Mm.
um, and I got in touch with the monastery, and they said, "Yeah, no, of course, you need to shave your hair." And I was like,
So you became a monk. You became monk.
No, I didn't. I was considering it. I was, very close to. But I think the thing that happened while I was staying at home and, thinking about my next
Mm.
adventure,
Okay.
I saw this newspaper article that they had a course in Oslo
Mhm.
from this Bodyguard association, and it was like IED,
Oh.
improvised explosive devices search course, and like they have
Oh.
just classes like this, anyone can join. And I
Mhm.
contacted them and said, you don't need any previous requirements to become a
Mhm.
bodyguard,
Mhm.
like ex-police or anything. I said, no, you just take the classes and you qualify through courses
Mhm.
you can take all over Europe. And I want to give this a try too. So then I started taking those courses in different places in Europe to fulfill the requirements
Mhm.
to be
Mhm.
fully certified. So I went to England and Italy and Norway. There was some course in Germany. So I spent,
Oh.
the next maybe 6 months a year taking
Mhm.
those classes little by little.
Mhm.
And I figured it's a good thing to know more languages if you want to work internationally.
Yeah.
So while I was taking those classes, I found a place in Germany that I
Mhm.
could work, which was in Ratzeburg in north of Germany, outside of Hamburg. They had bought an abandoned train station and
Why
some
are
old
always in abandoned train stations and
yes.
castles and houses, haunted
Mm.
houses, from horses to diamonds to really bad places, from romance and art and everything, and then martial arts and bodyguard. Oh my god. And and you were just 22, 23.
Yes, 20 something, yeah, early
Oh
20s,
god,
yeah.
oh god.
So this train commune was just young people from pretty much all over the world. They got together working on the old trains. They bought the old trains too, and one was like a sleeper wagon, so that's where we would stay, in this little bunk beds, in this little tiny train kitchen, and they had built the wagons with different art installations,
Okay.
and they would have people coming in to visit and look at the different type of installations there, and you would drive them on the Draisine, on the train tracks, and they had another little station on the other side too, and we would serve food, and it was just very hippish, all these artists making all kinds of train type
Okay.
art, and those
Mm.
like building bicycles, and
Mm.
it was very different from the other things I've done, but I learned some German and I really enjoyed it. It was the best time. It was just so different. And we had very
Mm.
little money. We just go hitchhiking if we needed to go
Mm.
shopping. And it's just,
Hitchhiking.
and no, we had the best time. It's a beautiful area too with the big forests in North
Mm.
Germany. And no, I loved it. I loved that time there. But I kept taking those bodyguard courses and I qualified and became certified part, and then of course then you start thinking what kind of jobs would you actually get when you're that young and freshly qualified. And
Mm.
the thing is, if you're a woman, it's usually sought after, since if you have female clients, you do need someone that could follow them to the bathrooms and
Mm.
those type of things. And so I had one job in London. It was first one. It was just being security during the Russian Imperial Ball. They have a yearly Imperial Ball for the Russians.
Okay.
And it was just doing the basic security there. And part of the education is surveillance and counter surveillance.
Mm.
And I went from Germany to Naples because I always wanted to see
Okay.
Naples.
So now
Yes. So I
comes
went back to Italy.
Naples. Okay.
And I found, well, I just saw ads in the newspaper. They wanted people to work for this. Um, detective agency, to be private
Okay.
investigator.
IDF.
And I thought, well, part of my education is a little bit of the surveillance part, so I wanted to check it out, and sure, I got the job,
Mm.
and I started just working there for a year, almost 2 years, I guess. I worked with two different agencies in Naples as a private investigator, or just working for the agencies. And it was just, it was not nice.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
jobs you get is just either it's you follow, you do the surveillance. It's really boring, first of all. You can sit 6 hours just watching a door and see if somebody comes
Right.
out to make the
Yeah.
report. Or if somebody comes and gets in their car, you need to follow them without being noticed. And the
Mm.
traffic in Naples, it's totally insane. And I had this red little car, it would just stand out like it was so easy to notice. And then just staying behind it, driving the crazy traffic, or you just sit still trying to stay awake for 6 hours.
Mm.
But the jobs would be somebody just suspecting their spouse of cheating. And, you're supposed to follow the spouse and see if they have ambassadors, usually. Yeah. And usually they did, except that one time, this poor truck driver. All they told us was, okay, I need to follow this truck driver and see
Mm.
if he meets, someone at the truck stops, picking
Okay.
up prostitutes and everything. The wife was suspicious
Oh.
of this. And I'm sure this happens a lot, but this guy just didn't. He didn't do anything wrong. And it was his money. Of course, usually the women back then they
Mm.
don't work, so they spent thousands of euro. She did of his money following him.
Mm.
And what they didn't tell us, he was an international truck driver, so he wouldn't just drive around the city. He left Naples, and we stayed behind, and we ended up somewhere way up in France.
Okay.
And he didn't do anything wrong, and we would just sleep in the car nearby on the truck stops. And the partner that I had gotten was just a cousin of my boss, the investigator, and he had no experience, and he didn't know how to operate like the video camera. He didn't know how to drive a car, and he was just the most annoying person on the planet.
Oh.
So I would try to drive and do the camera, and this guy is chatting on the side, being the most. Oh, it was the worst few days in my life. Yeah, I didn't get any overpay or anything. And then the rest was just the horrible, tragic stories, like
Mm.
family tragedies. There's this
Oh.
not trusting the spouse, or at one point it was even suspected that he would buy children, as like to make child pornography, and they would tell
Don't
us,
tell
you need to
me.
watch this
Oh.
apartment, and
Oh.
or you have surveillance and listen to their conversations, and you realize, that's what they're about to do, and you can't do anything about it. And it's just, no, it's just, then somebody else takes over. And then the wife would say, no, yeah, well, got the information, that's what he's doing, but I don't want to go to the police or anything, so just drop the case. And it's
Mm.
just, it's not a nice line of work at all. It's depressing.
Yeah, I can
So
see that.
yeah, so after a few years working like that, and I love Naples, though, it's the most beautiful city in the world. Definitely, it's my favorite city. It's totally crazy and
Mm.
just amazing. So it was a really good experience, and also bad. The good side and the
Okay.
bad side, yes. It's Naples in a nutshell, I guess, yeah.
So you
And
did. Mm.
after Naples, what happened? Let's see. Yes, then I went just to have a break from Naples. I figured I wanted to go back to Florida for a while, to Miami. I
Oh,
used to stay in
Florida.
Miami for a while
Okay.
after Ocala. And it was cold in the winter in Naples, like, oh, I'm just gonna have a little holiday. And while on the beach in Miami, I just went, to see some old friends and everything. I meet a Cuban. A Cuban man comes over. I was reading a really thick book about hypnosis or something in Italian. It was like,
Hypnosis comes now. Oh
yeah,
God.
yes, I did take some classes on hypnosis in Italy.
Oh.
Trattato di ipnosi, I was reading it. And he goes over and like, "Oh, what are you reading there?" And so we started talking and we became friends. He showed me
Mm,
around and, and he came to visit me in Naples. And then
mm,
little by little, it's like, "Why don't you come to Miami?" We got
mm,
to know each other and we became a
Miami.
thing.
Okay.
I was like, "Yeah, I would like to actually move back to Miami, but
Mm,
tourist visa, I have overstayed my tourist visa before. They
mm,
probably wouldn't accept me back.
mm.
And to apply for a regular visa it would take a long time, be difficult." But it's like, I had this
I had that idea.
thing from years.
Just forgotten.
Yes, by the way, I
Okay.
wonder if this would but then, of course, I
Mm,
couldn't just
mm.
travel to Miami on my Norwegian passport, and
Okay.
then the Norwegian would never leave again, so I figured, "Oh, I'll go to
Okay.
Canada, I cross the
Mm,
border, and then just appear and then send my papers out again of Canada and register as if I left in
okay.
time," which I did, and I crossed the border from
Okay.
Canada to United States as if I never entered the country.
Oh,
And then I finished building that identity with Amanda. And,
okay.
I would get the identity and I went to get the driver license, which I was 24 years, 25 years old. And over there, you get your license at 16. So it would look a
Mhm.
little suspicious too.
Okay.
And so I said I came from the Amish community. That's why I never
Okay.
driven a car before, and I have a little accent.
Okay.
So yeah,
Mm. So
and they
from
were so
left to
curious.
something else.
Yeah, I'm from the Amish community in Kansas. I've
Okay.
never been out, and they were so
Mm,
impressed. Oh, good on you leaving the cult.
mm, mm.
And it worked. They were just really impressed by my driving skills. "Oh, that's wow,
Okay.
you're really good at driving. Never driven
Mm,
before." Yeah, so,
mm.
so I got my driver license, and from there, just make your passport application, and I
Okay.
got a legit passport. And then I started living in Miami.
Legit, legit
Yeah,
passport
yeah,
with new
it's
identity.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just no way when you travel with that
Mm,
you could tell it's fake. It's
mm,
issued by the government. So I lived in Miami. I traveled back to Europe to visit my family 2, 3 times a year. By then they had moved to Hungary. My mom, ever the adventurer too. So she wanted a place to live with a little bit longer summer so she could work in the
mm.
garden and everything. So, and this went on for 7, 5, 6, 7 years maybe. Traveled this
Oh,
much, yeah. And of course, I figured they haven't discovered it
and meanwhile, you
by
forgot
now.
your real name.
Yeah, so now I was so used to just being Amanda, yeah. The only thing
Mm.
was, the funny thing talking about the horoscopes, they would ask, "Oh, what's your birthday?" "Yeah, I'm born in April," which I'm not. I'm born in October. And "Oh, yes, no, you were a
Oh, you are
typical."
Aries. You are typical Aries.
No, I'm not.
Either Aries or Taurus. Mm,
Yeah, I guess it would have been, yeah, Taurus maybe, yeah. Oh,
mm,
no, not
mm.
Pisces. Yeah, maybe
No,
Pisces.
no,
I
no,
do
no.
in
April
April.
would be, yeah, it would
No.
be Taurus.
There
Or
you go.
maybe,
I don't feel like
yeah.
a Taurus. No, so anyway, it was going just fine. I was settling
Mm,
down in Miami and we
mm,
started um
mm.
he had military background. I used to grow up with my dad going to shooting competitions, living in
Oh,
the countryside and everything, and like sports shooting.
okay.
And over there, you have those firearms ranges everywhere. So we used to go
Mm,
shooting together,
mm.
my ex-partner and I, and we would see how bad people were at handling firearms. I mean, it's
Okay.
so dangerous. Anyone can buy one, anyone can carry one,
Mm,
and it's just the worst. Like, my God, they need better education. Just the safety side of it. It's just, you could tell security guards, even police, just the worst. So we figured should start a firearms school. So
mm,
he became NRA certified instructor, and we would start teaching security guards, police. We had SWAT members, and
mm.
Secret Service even came, ATF
Secret
agents,
Service. Wow.
and private people that wanted concealed carry permits or just to learn the safety
Mm,
side of it.
mm.
It's so important. I mean, everyone carries a gun, and they have no idea how to handle it. It's just horrible. Anyway, so for years we did this, and it was a huge success. Became one of the biggest farm school in South Florida. So many students
Mm.
all the time. It was a full-time job for both of us,
Mm.
and we had hired more instructors and everything. Yeah, and y- one summer I had traveled to see my family, and I just traveled on my own. I wanted a partner to come with me for the next time I went, and I found cheap tickets. Like, oh well, let's go back next month. These tickets are pretty cheap. You should come with me to Hungary. So for the first
Mm.
time, I didn't follow my pattern of, let's say, going every fall, every autumn to visit my
Okay.
family. It was just all of a sudden I bought these new tickets. And I think that's what ticked off the, when the arrest came, because by then I didn't know that for 1 year at least they had kept me and us under surveillance, which makes sense. They had discovered, my double identity, and we had all these firearms, so many.
Oh,
A
too
bad
dangerous.
combination,
Too
yes.
dangerous. Yeah.
And the political climate was, Obama was just elected, and yeah, all these local little
Okay, so this was
groups.
year around 2008 and
No, it
something.
was this was in 2010, 11.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was especially in South Florida, you had many very right-wing groups,
Mm.
um, just growing and growing, and of course, all these firearms and everything. So I understand they kept me under surveillance, and they had discovered this double identity with
Oh
the big
God.
sting operation, and the name came up, and I think it was called Dead Names Operation that they did in Florida
Oh.
to find illegal immigrants. So they
Uh-huh.
had just taken all these social security numbers, and actually now that they had the technology, they cross-checked with the whole country to
And they
see,
found
if it
you.
was legit. And
Mm.
mine popped up as no, actually dead. One of several hundred. One was actually a famous baseball player from Dominican Republic and everything. Yeah, popped
Mm.
up on this. So but instead of just taking me in right away, they kept me under surveillance.
Okay.
And since I had just bought the ticket to leave again, they probably thought, oh no, maybe, something happened with her partner. She's planning on leaving the country for good. So then one Sunday morning, my partner goes to teach one of the concealed carry classes. So he's not at home, it's just me. And they knock on the door. It's like probably 12 heavily armed ATF agents, with weapons and bulletproof
Oh,
vests and all
a
these
very
big vans.
dangerous
Yeah,
agent is
felt
going
so
to be arrested.
little old me. Yeah.
Oh God.
And they parked all around the neighborhood. It's like, oh my God. It's like, no, please come on in. The dog is nice. Do you want a cup of coffee? And of course, I knew, oh, they're probably here. They discovered
Mm.
my identity. I was like,
Mm.
I wasn't that surprised. I'm
Mm.
surprised it took this long. So I felt totally calm, no worries. And I was like, they're probably just gonna deport me. What else can they do? And I like to do with everyone else. All the illegal immigrants, it's billions of
Mm.
them. They just get deported. And so they, of course, they search the whole house and they confiscate all the firearms and ammunition they can find. And of course, we had many because we used them for the students so they could
Yeah.
rent
Mm.
from us. And then they bring me in to the detention center downtown, and I figure, oh, it's probably going to be, I get that one. You see in the movies, you get one phone call, and they're going to have an interview. It's like nothing. They don't tell you anything. They just took me into a room, stripped me of all my clothes. You need to do the squat and cough and everything. And they gave me a jumpsuit, a green jumpsuit,
Okay.
and some slippers and some really
Mm.
old worn underwear from somebody else. It's
Oh,
the
very
worst.
disgusting.
Oh, it was horrible. It was so freezing cold. All you have is this jumpsuit, nothing else. And they bring you to the nurse, and the nurse, asks all kinds of questions if you have kind of diseases and are you a gang member and all kinds of stuff. And
Gang member.
yes, yeah,
I'm the leader.
exactly.
You
Yeah.
would say I'm the leader.
Yeah, the gang tattoos and
Mm.
everything. No, I know.
Mm. Mm.
And but then she seemed really worried. The
Mm.
nurse was the only nice person I ever met
Mm.
in there. And she was like so worried, and are you sure you will feel safe in the general population? It's like, the general population? What in the world are you talking? I'm probably just gonna sit in a holding cell, you know?
Mm.
And it's like, are you sure nobody, do you have any enemies from the streets? And I'm like, "No, I don't." Okay, and don't let anyone bully you, and don't, do any favors or accept any favors from anyone. It's like, what are you talking about? And then gave you a manual, thick like this with papers printed out, and said, read
Mm.
this and learn everything.
Mm.
And of course, this was because they were going to put me in the prison population. It was just straight to prison, which also served as a detention center and prison. Yeah. So they just brought me, you get all the handcuffs and the chain around your waist,
Oh
and you
God.
have chain around your feet, and you walk like a
A
little
true, a
penguin.
true movie.
Yeah, you feel and all these big, thick metal doors and open up. And this building is just, I always wondered what this building was in Miami. It's huge, like a skyscraper with tiny, tiny windows. I don't know how many levels.
Oh,
It's just enormous
okay.
concrete building. And now I realize that's what it is. It's the prison. It has 3,000 prisoners. It's huge, overfilled, of course, with probably 4,000. And they bring me in, and they open the last door, and you can see it just looks like a movie. You have the railing on top with the cell doors, and on the bottom with the cell
Okay.
doors, and an open floor, and this old little TV, and some women scattered around on the tables, and someone screaming to each other around here. And then you walk inside, and it feels just like so totally uneventful. Nobody's looking at you, wondering, "Hi, hey, who are you?" It's like
Oh,
when you come to a new place, you're used to people greeting
yeah,
you, and
but
it's like, "Oh, why are you here?" It's like, no, they just totally ignored you.
nothing. Oh God.
Just another, and they give you a little roll of toilet paper and a little soap bar, and they showed me to my cell and said, "This is number 17.
Oh, number
Bye,"
8.
and that's it. And it's like, what am I supposed to do? I thought I was supposed to have a phone call, a
Mm,
lawyer, anything,
mm,
let my family know what happened.
mm, mm.
Nothing, no information. Put me in the cell, and there's another girl that comes in, and she's like, "Oh, I'm your cellmate." She didn't speak much English at all, just
Sandwich.
Spanish.
Okay.
Yeah, she seemed really
Okay.
nice. And she tried to tell me a little bit, this is, you keep your belongings in this box, and this is my box, and don't you ever touch anybody's belongings. You will be dead. And it's like, and the showers, they're over there, but they're closed. You have like this designated time during the day. You have to line up for the shower. The water is cold, it's never hot.
Mm,
And it's like, well, what about shampoo? Should you?
mm.
Oh no, you can buy shampoo from the commissary, but then you need money put into your account from the
Oh.
outside. It was like, how do I tell anyone from the outside I'm even here? And
Mm.
like, no, you need to meet your counselor. She comes once a month, and then you will have
Once a
your,
month.
yeah,
Oh
then you can have your one phone call. And it's like, and she was just here yesterday. It's like, wait a minute, I can't make a phone call for a month. What's going on? This is crazy. And that's actually how it works. I mean, the
God.
thing you see in the movie, you get a phone call to your family and tell what's
Yeah, at
nothing.
least. Mm,
I was like, oh, all I can do is wait. I can't do anything. I can't, no contact with the outside at all. And in the meantime, I didn't know, but of course, my ex-partner had been informed that I was brought there, and he
mm.
contacted one of our students, which happened to be a really good attorney, federal attorney.
Okay.
And he said, "Oh, I'm gonna take your case pro bono,"
Mm,
and he will, of course, making things happen. So
mm,
the next day, I get called out to meet my attorney. And it's like, "Phew, it's you." Thank gosh, because I wouldn't be able to afford a good attorney at all, and
mm,
I realized if you don't have a good attorney, you don't stand a chance. And he said, well, the good news is they're willing to just drop your paper charge with the identity. It's just you plead guilty, no charge.
mm.
The bad news is they want to charge you with illegal firearms possession, which is a lot more serious. Like illegal firearms
Oh,
possession? What do you mean? I mean, they were not mine. I didn't buy any. No, if you are an illegal immigrant, you're of course not allowed to handle firearms, be around firearms.
okay.
Makes sense. I didn't give it one thought, of course. And they
Mm,
had plenty of proof that I've been around a lot of firearms.
Yes.
And then they would charge me a separate count for each firearm they found in the house at the time
Mm.
of the raid, and for each separate piece of ammunition. And they do charge stacking, which means you serve a sentence for that one pistol, you serve a sentence for that
Okay.
ammunition, they stack it.
Okay.
And I was
Oh,
facing almost 30
and there were
years.
many. There were many.
So many. Just one of them happened to be just a regular Glock, which is what security and police use.
Okay.
And since it's possible to interchange the magazine, so it would carry more than 10 rounds, it could potentially carry 17, it counts as an assault weapon. And that alone is a
Oh
10 years
God.
charge. And I was like,
Oh
oh
God.
no, this is a big problem. He's like, yep, this is a big problem. And he's like, oh, I'm going to do what I can. And you're probably going to face at least a couple of years.
Mm.
But the maximum sentence I could get was up to 30 years. I was like, oh, no way that's going to happen. Why would they put little old me in prison for 30 years? It's just, and then when time went by and I started to talk to the other women there and hear their stories, I realized that happens all the time. The sentencing system is just, and the stories from the other women, you know, I had done something just to make my life easy, just for fun, I just instead of applying for a visa, I just did it this way. They did it to survive, they had sick children, needed to pay for medication.
Mm.
They would take a job trying to smuggle something in from Haiti. They get caught, 50-year sentence, never see their child again. And you had all these tragic stories from these women. And they were just moms, regular women trying to make a living and take care of their family. And the sentencing they were getting was just wild, and I felt so bad. And you had like this one woman, she was 81 years old, and
Oh.
she had written just a false check, just she needed a little more money, and she attempted to make, and it was a federal charge, and she got 5 years. She
Oh.
was 81 years old. Another one, she had cancer, and she couldn't even walk. She was just laying in her cell. And it was just a white collar crime. She worked in a real estate office, probably didn't tell what her boss was doing wrong. She didn't even do anything. In a lot of cases like this, it's just because if you don't tell that you work
Mm.
in a place where the boss is doing something wrong, you get
Mm.
charged with conspiracy. And they didn't even let us carry her food to her cell. We were not allowed to bring food into the cell. And she and her family would not be able to bring her medication. She just died in her cell. Another one, she had lupus, didn't get her medication. She died. A young woman, beautiful woman, just, from the best family in Miami. And her whole body would just start rotting. She had breast
Oh.
implants, and her one side would just be rotten flesh. I think with the lupus, it just starts eating on your organs, and you would just fall off. And the smell was just a few months, and she died. And another one, she was pregnant. She gave birth. They just brought her back in with a little printout picture of her baby on a piece of
Baby.
paper. It's like,
Oh
you're not
God.
going to see the baby again. Oh, stop. It was just horrible. And of course, it made me not feel sorry for myself at all. I
Mm.
figured I don't have children. I'm fine. No matter how long they're going to give me, it doesn't matter. And when you stay there, you make these connections with other women, these friendships that you would never experience on the outside.
Yeah,
And
that is
it's
true.
like a
Mm.
world just on a different planet. And I realized, this could actually be fine, even if I would, and I talked to the women that had life sentences, and they were the happiest there. The ones that were looking at short sentence, they were most desperate and they were crying and just, but the ones that I found inner peace were looking at long sentences. And I was like, no, could be a good life here, actually, a fulfilling life. You could read, you could study, you could work out, you make meaningful friendships. And I realized, "Oh, I could do that." And I started to feel really happy. And I realized this is my monastery. This is my being a nun, living amongst
Yeah.
only women. The whole world is just not existing
Mm.
anymore. And it was like a meditative thing I was
So
doing,
once
practicing
again, you
yoga.
became introvert plus extrovert, both.
Yes, no, it
Mm.
was a very, very good experience for me, definitely.
Mm.
And I think especially for women too, they're so used to always caring for everything around them. Even if you just have a house plant, you always have this take care of the house. If you have family, take care of the family, your job. And when you're put in a place like that, you don't even have to worry about what time to wake up. Somebody wakes you up,
Yeah.
somebody tells you what to eat, what time to go to sleep, to turn off the light, what to put on. You have these clothes.
Mm.
And is I think everyone should have that experience even just for a little bit because it gives you such another perspective on life. Just a
Okay.
month, just 1 month in prison.
But Norwegian jails are really nice. We can try here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, one of those a prison hotel. There you go. No, but it was very fascinating, and I
Mm.
started writing really long letters to my family.
Mm.
Just like a diary almost. I would tell them about my everyday life and thoughts and everything. And
And
it was tougher
what
for
what
them than me, I'm sure.
what was the reaction of your family, especially your mom?
Well, they got told from somebody else first. Of course, they got the phone
Okay.
call.
Okay.
So when I talked to them, when I finally got money on my account so I could start making
Mm.
phone calls,
Mm.
they're the best. They seemed so calm and happy and
Ah,
just,
okay. They thought it was
yes,
necessary for you.
it's just positive. My mom has always been the most positive person in the world, and she was
Oh,
still so positive.
wow.
Which was really good thing too, because I could tell some of
Mm.
the other women talking to
Mm.
their families, it was
Mm.
just a lot of them tried to keep it secret for their
Mm.
family. They were so ashamed,
Mm.
especially from other countries,
Mm.
Latin countries, it would be such
Mm.
a shameful thing.
Mm.
Some of them trying to keep it a secret from their kids. They said, "No, my
Mm.
mom,"
Mm.
they told, "Your mom just joined the military." And they came to visit, the little kids would come to visit their mom and they were dressed in the green uniform and they would buy the story, "This is military." Oh, so no, I felt so lucky that I didn't have to go through all that. And I was
Mm.
just awaiting my sentencing, being in detention, and it could drag out for a long time. But at least I got my case uh, in front of the court after 5 months.
Okay.
And my attorney said, "I'm going to ask for 2.5 years, which is the very minimum that we could hope for."
Mm.
And the prosecutor probably asked for 10 years, I think it was, which was still low from what you could get.
Mm.
And I did research on my judge. She was Cuban American. And she was actually a candidate for the Supreme Court at one time. And she was known to be very strict. And one of the
Oh.
other women had her sentencing from the same judge just a week before, and she had committed a white collar crime. She one of those working in one of those real estate offices
Okay. Yeah.
with some, and she didn't commit it. It was just her boss that committed the crime, and she didn't tell. And she was in her 60s, just the nicest family grandmother ever, and like not a danger to society. She came from Cuba, and the judge, being from Cuban origin, had told her, "I'm ashamed that one of my
Oh.
countrywomen had committed a crime, so I am going to not only give you the maximum sentence, which was 16 years, I am going to give you an extra 5 years on top of that, just
Oh.
because, I feel ashamed of another countrywoman." Can you imagine? Yeah, I mean, a 60-year-old woman, she might die in prison for not hurting anyone. It was, and I lost hope. It's like, okay, this judge, she's really, really tough. And so different from the Norwegian court system, of course, then I think at least, because here you have to write a letter to the judge before you go in front of her and tell about
Mm.
yourself and your case and why you would do better out in society and blah blah blah. And being a writer, I could write the most romantic little story. I was sitting there at the
So
type.
your writing
Oh,
skills came out.
this guy.
Okay.
And some of the other women didn't even know how to write their own name. They didn't go to school.
Oh.
And of course, there I could just did research, talked to my attorney, which was a good attorney, and I wrote a letter that actually probably touched her. And I come in front of her, and she's like, "No, I believe you would do better out in society, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to give you time served," which was the 5 months I had already been there.
Okay.
And everyone in my turn was just shocked. How did this happen? Other
Hmm.
people I talked to is just,
Miracle.
they just look at you. If they like you, they're
Hmm.
gonna give you nothing. If they don't like your face,
Hmm.
they're gonna give you life sentence. And that freedom they have given the judges in the United States is just, it makes
Whatever
no
you want to
sense.
do.
Yes, it's just,
Okay.
they don't follow the
Hmm.
law, and they can actually give you, and you know what? They
Unlimited.
don't have to follow what's written
Hmm.
in the paragraphs. It's just crazy. So how you act in court, that's the most important thing, really. And I came back inside and told the other women about my sentencing, and they were so hopeful and happy. Of course, they're like, "Wow, you give us hope it could happen." And hopefully it did happen for some of the other ones too. And I thought, okay, that's it. I got time served. They're going to deport me. They can only keep me for 3 more days. After that, they need to
Hmm.
get me out
Hmm.
of prison. They kept me for 3 days, of course. And prisons are privatized. Every day they keep you inside and get plenty of money. Kept me for. I was like,
Okay.
oh, without no information. All of a sudden, one morning, they just, okay, time to leave. I give away my belongings to the other inmates. They put me, of course, in the holding cell forever, and they give me my clothes back, and they put me in handcuffs and put me in this little prison car transport with, the bars and everything. And it's like, oh, probably gonna go to the airport then. And keep driving on the turnpike in Miami. It's like, that's not the way to the airport. Excuse me, where are we going? They don't answer. It's like, you keep heading out towards, more the Everglades. And like, it's nothing out there. Where are you taking me? Then I see a detention center.
Oh,
So they take me to the immigration detention center.
okay.
Um, I came from it was a federal case, a federal prison, and now it's county jail. Totally different case. They had decided on their own to actually go ahead and charge me with the fake identity, the papers, as an immigration fraud, of course, and keep me forever in that detention center. But they put me inside one of those old school buses converted to prison transportation that you see in the
Oh,
movies. And it's just
okay.
filled with male prisoners sitting in the back. And you have this one guy with a rifle in the front and the driver, and they just keep driving north. And it's getting dark. And all the male prisoners in the back, of course, keep trying to talk to get my attention. And very
Hmm.
uncomfortable. And all I can see is those big sugar plantations and some cow farms, and it's
Oh,
just nothing. And they take,
your
uh,
romance once again.
no, and they take me
Romance in
to,
trouble.
yeah, end up at Glades Sheriff's Office. It's a county jail in the middle of
Okay.
Florida. And I had heard the horror stories from the other women coming from county jail to federal prison, and they're like, "You're so lucky. If you're gonna commit a crime, make sure it's federal,
Hmm.
because county jail is just the worst." And sure enough, I end up in county jail. And instead of having the separate cells for two and two people, you have one big concrete room, no windows, and 50 women inside, and bunk
Oh
beds just like stacked on top
God.
of each other. The
Oh
bathroom's
God.
just an open stall, everyone can see everything. And the lights on 24 hours, and the volume, everyone's screaming and talking at the same time. You have the plastic mattress, no pillow, no nothing. That you have the one toilet paper roll. You're not allowed to collect more. And when you use up that roll, you have to give them the empty one back. But
And then
if you used it up in the
you get
meantime,
it
yeah,
reimbursed.
you have nothing for a while. So they're like, make sure to hide a little bit of toilet paper.
Oh
So, and you're
God.
not allowed to. You have to hide it
Ah,
in case you have
mm,
that one day without,
mm,
and you have to use it as your pillow. And
mm.
I was like, I wonder how long they're gonna keep me here.
Mm.
And my old attorney couldn't be my attorney anymore. He's not an immigration attorney.
Okay.
And turns out one of our other firearms students was an immigration attorney, and he took that
Hmm.
case pro bono.
So your students came to rescue
Yeah,
you.
he came to our rescue for the crime I committed. Yeah,
Mm.
and they said, "Well, I'm gonna try to have them deport you as quickly as we possibly can, but they can keep you for 3 months before deportation, and they
Mm.
make money every night you stay. It's a private prison, so of course they want to keep you as long as you can. And but maybe you can get home to Christmas," and which was almost a month away. And I just wait and wait. Every day just goes by. I keep waiting and waiting. I just went in front of another
It
immigration
was
judge,
not
pled
at
guilty.
all as romantic as it is
No.
sounding right now.
Oh,
You're
and
rhyming it.
no, and the thing is, I felt so done with the whole story, It had such a happy ending, time served,
Mm,
everyone hugged and cried.
mm,
Oh, you're so
mm,
happy for you. And
mm,
then you start all over. I don't know anyone there,
mm,
and the conditions, they're just horrible. The only good
mm,
thing was you were allowed to get out in the yard 1 hour a day, and you could see the
mm,
sun. In the federal prison, you couldn't get outside, so at
mm.
least you had that little bit of. Anyway, they kept me over Christmas, over New Year's, and then finally, after they kept pushing all they could, they even had the Norwegian embassy. They were the nicest from the consulate. They came to visit me, and they did all they could. They said we can buy her tickets, we can do anything just to speed things along. But they kept me for a while, a little over a month, and then finally one day they said, "Oh, it's time to leave." So I still just have like a gray jumpsuit that you could have.
Mm.
And so over there we had the orange uniforms, which I thought was funny. It looked even more like one of those prison movies. And I didn't get my clothes. I just had that gray jumpsuit that I could travel with. And then you have U.S. Marshal um, transporting me to the airport, and they would follow me all the way into the airplane until the plane was ready to
Okay.
leave. So they were just guarding me the whole time. And of course, hours and hours of waiting in that car. And finally, we were supposed to leave. They put me inside the airplane. And of course, I can tell all the other passengers looking, I'm being transported by US Marshal. They probably think I'm such a dangerous
Yeah.
prisoner. So
Mm.
I figured on this flight, nobody's going to talk to me. I get that little brown bag with my sealed passports and everything ready to go. And then the airplane is broken, it can't take off, and it's late at night. It's something with the
Oh,
engine. Everyone needs to get off again. I was like,
okay.
it's probably no more flights. They're gonna spend another night in some prison cell
Okay.
in but we waited some more and they managed to get another one and put me inside, and I went back home. Left for Oslo, back to the winter. It was like in January. I came from Florida, didn't have any clothes. It was freezing
Oh
cold, but
God.
I was
And
the
it was the
happiest.
year something.
2012, yeah.
Oh
I,
God. Oh
they arrested
God.
me in 2011, 2012. I was back home, first to Oslo, and then I took a flight to Budapest and then went to see my family.
Budapest.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was quite an experience, and it seems like such a lifetime ago. And it seems so surreal today when I talk about it, but it was it was an amazing experience. I'm very happy it happened to me. It's just the best.
And it transformed you. So you
Yes.
had been making sketches of other prisoners. Can you tell something about that?
Yes. So you have something to do. I was sitting there making little portraits just for fun on my own, and the other girls, "That's amazing. Can I have one? Can I have one?" And I started, making more and more. I had this list of orders of making portraits, and usually had photos of themselves and their kids. And like, I never had a picture of myself together with these kids. Could you please just put our faces together so I could keep it and send it to my family? And
Mm.
so the drawing experience I got was just hours and hours and hours a day. And I had my contract with the publishing house for my first book series, the historical romance novel. It was just put on hold. of course, when I got arrested, and I wrote a letter to my editor and I said, this happened. I was sure they were just gonna cancel the contract and everything. But they were amazed of the stories I was telling. I was writing, everyday
Mm.
lives there, and they collected the letters. And when I came out, they said, you know, we would love for you to collect the letters that you wrote to us and to your mom and everything, and maybe we could make it into a book. And it's like,
Okay.
oh, what? Are you serious? I didn't believe it was enough for a book, but we managed to make it into a book. It's like
It
a
happened.
memoir of the it's prison diaries.
So
Yeah, so it's
everything.
this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's written just pretty much how I wrote the letters in prison. Yeah,
Okay. Your
and with
letters and then
yeah, with
your hands-on
illustrations.
experience and
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. And then my
Mm.
first novel series was about to be published, and they needed the book covers. And I
Mm.
said, I would really love to try to make my own. And like, oh,
Mm.
that would be the first time the author actually draws her own
Mm. Book cover.
illustrations. And
Mm.
they were really skeptical.
Mm.
And I did my best to manage to actually get them to accept my illustrations on my book series. And uh, while I was still writing my own book series, other
Mm.
people were writing romance novels too, and they said, "We would
Mm.
like this illustrator on my book series." And like, "Who's this?" And they're like, "Oh, she's another author. I know if she would accept illustrating for other people. We can ask." And I said, "Yeah, of course, I'd love to." And that's how I just kept building the portfolio with illustrations tremendously with the book series. And then weekly magazines contacted me and wanted short stories illustrated both in Denmark and Norway and Sweden and then other
How come
novels.
either a
Yeah.
person can be a rider, horses, diamonds, jail, then Naples, bodyguard, martial arts, Japan, Miami, Florida? How come just one woman and so many things?
I think I'm so convinced the same thing could happen to just anyone as long as they just ask, of course, like, can I come and do this? Can I come and be your student candidate? And it's I think it's the thing is when you're young and you feel invincible somehow, you think it's just
Mm.
I survived this, then I can survive that kind of a thing. I would never do anything of the things that I did back then, of course. It's just no
Okay,
way. I don't
every
even feel
time a
like
new thing.
traveling.
Mm.
Yeah, no.
Mm.
So I think it's just when you're young and you feel, and the thing is, you have not as much to lose, kind of a thing. As
Okay.
if I had a family like I do now,
Mm.
it's just the possibility of ending up in prison would be the most horrible thing in the
Yeah.
world. I would never ever do anything.
Mm.
I don't want to be away from my kids for even one night. So I think it's a combination of being young, adventurous, feeling that
And being Scorpion,
invincible. Yeah. So
born under Scorpio zodiac
there
sign.
you maybe that I have something to blame. Then yeah, it wasn't my fault. Yeah.
Okay,
So
then how does it feel to see your book published in multiple formats like pocket size and audiobooks and so many? And this one, the Fangen
yeah. Well,
Postcelle nummer Satten. Yeah,
mm.
my Norsk is very bad.
Yeah. No, it's great.
So, how come and how people relate to this book? And these are your
Well,
letters. And,
it's hard to remember. Like my first book was published 2012, so it's years ago. But that feeling of having it actually, I mean, you can hold it in your hands. And of course, I love paper books so much more than
mm,
audiobooks, even though I listen to a lot
yeah,
of audiobooks just because it's something you can hold.
yeah.
Um, but after 20, 30 something books, it just feels like
Should
it's
feel
just any type of job I can imagine. And I really do believe it's anything. Anyone can become an illustrator or an author. If I can, definitely anyone. And I don't think you have to have some special life experiences or have traveled the world or anything. Is the human mind is just so creative if we just give it a chance to
Yeah.
blossom, and you could have just lived in that same childhood house and never left your city, and you could still create the most amazing stories.
Yes.
So I don't think my background has anything to do with my ability to create stories at all. It's just if you have it in you, you can do research on any topic you would like to write on, and you would write totally convincing if it's uh, a profession. Like if you want to write about being a doctor, if you're not a doctor, there's so much information out there. It's just anyone can write about anything they would like to do with no experience. And besides, there's so many great writing classes out there, and so much more than it used to be, and so many opportunities to educate yourself if anyone has a dream of writing or illustrating too. It's great. Just YouTube tutorials on digital illustration, and you can be totally self taught. And it's just you put in the hours of practice, and
You need
anyone
a
can do it.
will,
Yes,
and then you
exactly.
can. Okay, and
Definitely.
what's your inspiration behind your novel series, Kroniken og Milva Alm?
Yeah.
What is this about, and what's the
Yes, that was my
inspiration?
first book series. I saw the publishing house was asking for
Mm.
new authors to submit an idea for historical romance, and I just really wrote. So I had no experience in reading those books at all. I used to read more thrillers and crime mystery type of things,
And you
and
had been doing those adventures as well.
yeah. But I thought I don't really want to sit down and read other people's work before I write my own story, because it's so easy to get discouraged. And I think
Mm.
all stories have already been told. So I just wrote a story that I would like to read myself.
Mm.
And I think that book series was a little different than many of the other ones out on the market, because it had maybe a little more adventure and almost fantasy in it, with, it had witches and witchcraft and a little bit of supernatural things that the publishing house was afraid of. They always wanted to, no, no, not too much, not too much. They were afraid of losing their traditional readers. But today they're asking for more of that. Now it's been years since I've written something, but they contacted me from another publishing house and asked me to try to write, they call it romantasy. It's a mix between romance and fantasy. And I think it's because today a lot of the new readers are young women. They're the ones that buy the most books, and it's become a really popular genre. So if somebody wants to make it into the publishing world today, that's the thing to go for if they feel they have it in them. Yeah, I still haven't really found the right story for that yet, but
Okay, so
yes,
looking forward. Mm.
yeah. Oh.
Okay, and your next series, Natirgalen, is it
Mm.
already there, or are you working on it?
No, it ended with 10 books because I was about to have my second child, and with the first one still being little, and with I just had to be a short one. I've had
Mm.
doing all the illustrations and then writing a minimum of 6 books a year. I mean, you have to produce a tremendous amount when
Mm.
you're a book series writer.
Yeah, that's true.
And so, no, it wasn't as long as the first one. And that story is, I think the main character is a little more independent and stronger than my first one. I wanted to write like a really, uh, as if she would go on the wrong side of the law type of a thing for survival.
Okay.
And the publishing house said, no, no, she can't do anything illegal. They want,
Okay.
but I wanted to, type of thing, yeah. So my plan was to
Adventure
make her
should
actually,
adventure should remain within the law
yeah,
limits.
yeah. Oh no, you have
Okay.
no idea the
Mm. Mm.
conversations we have about
Mm.
those the heroines, even the
Mm.
way they dress and
Mm.
oh, it's just because a lot of the readers, at least before, they used to be older women, very traditional, and they expect their heroines to, behave and act a certain way. So
Okay.
you
Yeah.
don't have all the liberties in the world when you write
Oh,
that type of book, John.
that's not good then. Okay, then my next question: how do you balance full-time illustration work, writing novels, short stories, two beautiful daughters, and everything, family, home. How come?
Oh, I don't. There's no balance. It's just chaos.
Ah, I
Oh,
can't
no,
see
no.
any chaos.
No, it's not.
Your
Well,
bookshelf is very well
it's just
managed and
survival.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, from the outside, well, I think the good thing is I have two girls, and they're just the easiest in the world, really. Just, I'm so lucky, but still, I want to spend time with them, and my mind is always on them. And to do the illustrations, that's fine because you could sit and you can listen to an audiobook, you could listen to a documentary, you could listen
Yeah.
to a movie, anything, and you do the
Mm,
illustrations, and your mind can be somewhere else.
yeah.
But to create stories, you need to be in your bubble. And to find that space when there's so much else going on in your daily life, you juggle, family life and all that. I concentrate on the illustrations these days. And thankfully, I have so many uh, uh, different places that I could do illustrations for. I have the magazines,
Mm,
I have the the book series, I have regular novels. It's just I even have to as a freelancer, it's really scary to turn down an offer, for a job and say no, I
mm,
don't have time.
mm.
But I have learned to actually say no now and just
Okay.
prioritize the
So
ones
you
I have. So
choose.
yeah.
Yeah, I do remember that little princess just
Hey.
walking, and
Oh.
I was just standing where to start with. Then I thought, why not to ask this little girl that please choose a book for me, where to
Yes.
start
Oh,
with? And she said, okay, yeah, I will. And
yes.
then mom comes and she says, okay, why are these books here?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we started conversation, and now today we are talking to one
Here we
another.
are, yes.
These are just the moments, and if I would have missed that moment,
Mm.
I would have missed this so colorful and adventurous story,
Oh.
real life story. I don't know what you have written in your Norwegian books because I'm not really good in reading Norwegian, but whatever you have narrated right now, I can write stories on you.
Oh, thank you. But that's another thing. You know what really
Mm,
struck me while I was in
mm,
prison was I see
mm,
these women, and when you meet them on the street,
mm.
you would never guess
You
the
will, yeah,
stories they
yeah,
have.
that's true.
And
That's
I
true. Mm,
forever after when I see just people walking by, I meet them. It's like, I have no idea what stories you have. And
yeah.
it's usually so much we just don't know. Nobody
That's
has
true.
just a normal, boring life at all.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true. And thanks to that moment and that little princess.
Yeah.
Say
Oh,
my hi to her. Of course, I will see her in school.
that's true. Yes. Oh,
Okay, so illustrations.
yeah.
What do you enjoy the most for magazines or for children or for adults?
I think you have more freedom with the
Mm,
children's books,
mm,
and especially when you do the historical romance, it needs to
mm,
be historically correct with the dress for the
mm,
time of the year, and the readers are really observant and picky.
mm.
With a children's book, you want something that's eye-catching and just it brings you more, emotion, and you can use more colors, and it's more
Colorful.
freedom.
Mm,
So I think it has been more challenging when I went from doing the adult books to the children's books because I'd never done it before.
mm.
And but it's also a lot more liberating too. So I think it's easier with the adult books because it's something I've done for so many years. So it takes less effort and might be
Yeah.
less frustrating.
Mm.
With the children's books, the characters are so important and they need to look the same through all the different scenes and the emotions. And I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
I'll
Mm,
never be good enough at all. But I think that's, if you want to publish your work, you never
mm.
feel that it was perfect. Like, yes, it's ready to get out into the world. You just
There's
have to let
always.
it go and
Mm.
you try better next time. So yeah, no,
Okay, and one thing more, you are working for the Forfatter school in. What is that about, and what are you doing there?
well, it's been a couple of years ago that I had it was just we're teaching like a workshop,
Mm-hmm.
courses that would go with ten different nights, teaching them how to write this specific genre of historical romance book series. And it's a very Norwegian thing. No other countries has this type of book series. They can see in the just in the grocery stores on the shelves with the magazines. You have these
Yeah,
little pocket
yeah.
books, and you could even get them in the mailbox and everything. And they go, some of them go for years and years and years. So it was just, talking about this very specific type of writing and what it takes to become. It might seem like a simple little task because it's not a highbrow literature type of a thing. It's more entertaining, like maybe a historical soap opera that goes on for years.
Okay.
But the discipline it takes to keep writing those books for so many years, no matter what happens in your life,
You are
it's
just
not for
writing with the
everyone.
same tone. Okay.
It's challenging, definitely. But a lot of people have that dream because it's not many that can live off of their work as a writer. Of course, you have to either be a best-selling Jon Nesbø or you
Mm.
have to keep writing many books. So if you want to make a living, that's probably the safest with the
Perfect.
book series. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a balance, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you had been traveling a lot, and how your travels and multicultural experiences they have influenced your writing and illustrations. Uh, did it
It's
make
hard to
that?
imagine what it would be like if I didn't have, the experience I
Yeah.
had. But actually, I don't think much. I think uh, just by imagination, you could totally create the same things I do. And it's just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it makes a big difference, really. No.
Okay, so imagination is the key here. So
Yes,
you were
exactly.
you were imaginative. That's why you enjoyed your prison and
Yeah.
everything, and you are telling everything in such a romantic way that it sounds,
Mm.
oh, going to prison is is
I
not
think
a bad thing.
not at all. Yeah, my
So,
girls are curious about that story,
hmm,
they see the book and it's like,
okay, of
was
course
it scary? And I
yeah,
want to
they
tell
will
them,
read.
yes, it was really bad and scary because you don't want to go there. But no, it really wasn't.
They will
No. It
read it.
was
They are too little, but
yes, of course.
they will read, of
You'll read the
course.
book one day, yeah.
Yeah, they
No, but I
will.
think the thing is, if you like to observe people and just when you sit and people watch, you like to create the stories, or even if you
Mm,
just watch your family members, the different characters, that's all you need to write a book with a lot of different characters.
yeah,
Everyone it can recognize a little bit of themselves when they read a
yeah.
book
When
about
they
anything,
read
and
the
I think
book,
it's because
yeah.
yeah, yeah, and
Mm.
they always recognize something, even if it's the antagonist, the bad guy. That's why you always have to give the bad guy some good traits
Yeah,
too, of course.
yeah, of course.
So no, you don't need to travel the world or meet a lot of people. Just look at your family,
Your
look at people at the
imagination.
grocery store, and it's
Mm.
so much to take from there. It's
So all
no
your
need.
characters, of course, come from your daily life and your imagination. So it's a
Yes.
combination.
Mm.
You cannot go beyond your observation and imagination. And of course, the seeds are provided by your daily
Yeah.
life observation, and
Mhm,
then
exactly.
imagination comes.
Yes,
This is
exactly.
how it works. I think, but
Yeah. And
you
then
are
doing
right.
research for historical books,
Mm.
it's so inspiring. There's always, I mean, the things that happened back in history.
Yeah,
If you would write them, people would say, "No, that's just too far-fetched." So you need to actually take some things and make them more realistic. It's just so much to take from reading historical books
yeah,
and from Norway too. It's such a rich
yeah. That is
history.
true.
So I just love writing about Norwegian history too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. One day I'll have to learn Norwegian. I think so.
There you go. Yeah.
To read your books, I'll have to. Okay, I hope for the best. Okay, then you had been working so many things and so many adventures. So, what was the most challenging travel and then your project in your writing career?
Well, I do remember the most challenging book to write. It was the last book in Nattergalen, my last book series,
Okay.
because we're little kids and we were living in Italy, my now husband, and
Mm.
uh, I believe I was really pregnant back then, or at least I was really little, and it was just that chaos of everyday life, and I had the deadline
Mm.
so close, and for one night I was sitting up and I wrote 20,000 words just to finish the book
Oh,
in time, and I
okay.
felt totally burnt out. It was so challenging. I mean, you just write like a robot, and you
Okay.
read it a few days later, and yeah, it actually works. Yeah, it's not that bad. You don't have to sit there and polish every sentence. And
Mm.
sometimes it's just that you just let it flow. It actually works too. And but it was definitely the most challenging, and I haven't written any full books after that. No, it was just
Then
so
you
hard. Yeah,
became
just short
mom.
stories.
Then you became
Yes,
mother.
mom mode. Yes.
Early in the morning, I was talking to my husband and I was telling about someone. He was a writer, very good writer. In fact, in Urdu, his name is Mumtaz Mufti. And I was telling him that he used to say, and of course, he wrote in his book as well, that his mother, her name was Sura, and whenever she wrote letters to him, she never wrote her name underneath. And one day he asked her, "Why are you not writing your name here?" And she said, "Surah." But by the way, Surah itself means little, small. In Arabic, Surah means small. And she said, Surah is very small, and she died when you were born. Now there's no more Surah. It's just your mom.
Yes. I totally get that feeling.
Yeah, and
Yes.
and and, and I wrote 2 3 days before I wrote something. It's a prose, like, yeah, I should say it's a nasri nazm, we call it in Urdu, matrophagy,
Mm.
that how the spiders and scorpion, they eat their mum to
Mm,
survive, and mum sacrifices herself.
yes.
And then I wrote that although it doesn't happen in human beings, but
Mm,
what happens? Mom, they give their smiles to their children,
mm,
their dreams to their children. Their
mm.
everything is for them, and they
Yes, yes.
sacrifice themselves.
So
And
true.
that and that
100%.
that
Yeah.
is that is very evident from your own
Mm.
story. Where's that girl riding horses, going to
Mm.
Japan and then to Florida and then Naples, from north to south to
Yes.
Germany, and everything, doing everything. But
Mm.
now I just saw the mother of a student, a little
Yeah.
girl, just following her. And I never knew that mother of a student
Mm.
could be or would be such a great writer. So
No,
that
but
that
it's
that
so true.
that
Yeah.
that
It's
moment is
just,
just frozen in my imagination. I
yeah,
am a
yeah.
person who has frozen moments,
Mm.
and I can melt those frozen moments and then write down or think about them whenever I
Yeah.
wish to. I don't know about other people if they have, but I
Mm.
can see that your imagination and your description, even when you are talking, you are telling the stories,
Mm.
you are telling each and every detail, that I can see those cells and the buildings and the horses and the diamonds and that deaf girl
Yeah,
who
yeah.
died somewhere. So this your narration and your description and your imagination, it shows that how good you would be in your writings as well.
No, thank you.
So
Thank you very much.
so
Oh,
it is how I'm
beautiful
feeling.
words. Thank you.
I'm
Oh,
feeling for you.
oh, thank you very
Okay, yeah.
much.
You are
Oh,
such a actually, I have no words for your adventures and your travels, but I have seen you as a mother,
yes.
and that one I can see as
Yeah.
well. The first,
But it's
uh,
so true. That's all I feel like. I mean, that could have been another person.
you
100%. Yeah.
are right now. You look like a film movie heroine, the bestseller writer, and things like that. But at that day when we met,
Mm.
you were just a mom, a simple, ordinary
Yes,
woman following the
exactly. Doing the
child.
school
Just,
drop
yeah,
off. Yeah.
that's it. That's it. So that
Yes.
was our meeting, and
That's so true. Yeah.
look at the difference.
Yes.
The
And
mother?
that's really all I want to be too. It's just the best role of my life. It's being I could have never imagined. I wasn't even sure. I would if I didn't have any kids, I would be happy. I would used to think, but now it's the an adventure 1,000 times more exciting than all the other ones I've ever had.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's amazing.
Once again, the scorpion mother with water
Oh,
sign. The Scorpio is with the water sign. All water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces, they are very loving and ambitious and romantic. So it comes
that's
to all,
nice.
all all water signs.
Oh, well, my
So
husband is a Pisces.
oh,
That might be.
then it's a beautiful combination.
Oh, good to
And
know. I can feel it.
because they are water signs go best with water signs and air signs with air signs. So
Oh, we go
if
very, very well together. Yeah.
yeah, if
We've been
he's
together for,
Pisces, yeah, then I
yes,
can
yeah, we've been
understand.
together for maybe 13, 14 years now, known each other, married
Okay.
11 years, and we never
Mm.
had an argument in our lives.
Oh, and he would be more nature loving and more imaginative
He's an
because
illustrator, very artistic. Yeah.
imagination because
Yeah.
imagination is the first thing in the spirituality which comes to a Pisces person. Okay, today we are not talking about the astrology and the zodiac signs.
That sounds like a very exciting next episode. Yeah.
Yeah. Next time maybe we would be talking about astrology and the signs as well, or maybe that girl who was born in April with Taurus or
Yes, exactly.
so you had me in a Taurian as well, and even when you were saying that you were that girl, you were mimicking that girl with the Taurus zodiac sign. You would have
You
built
know?
your body like strong woman, so it goes with that as well.
I used to
You
go
are
to
a
the gym a
fighter
lot more than now.
instinct,
Yes.
but now your eyes they go with the Scorpio. So
Mhm.
this is how
So
you
true.
even
Oh,
you pretended well. Okay, my next question is that how do you hope that readers can connect with your books and illustrations on a personal level?
well, I really feel my books and same with my illustrations. Just want something that's entertaining. I mean, it's
Mm,
so important just to find a book that makes you want to sit down and read. And it doesn't matter if, especially for kids too and young readers, uh, i- something that's just entertaining. It doesn't have
mm,
to have some deeper meaning or like
mm,
my illustrations. They don't have to be amazing artworks for the galleries. I just want something that's eye-catching and makes you stop and look, when you pass the book in cover in the bookstore, maybe pick up the book, and
mm.
it's just something I would want to read myself and not want to put down. So just want
Okay.
something that's
It
exciting,
should be eye
entertaining. Yeah.
catching.
Yes, yes. And that's for my daughter too. She's starting to read on her own now. And I can tell, she keeps looking for, and then she finds a book that she likes, and she wakes up in the morning and she would roll around and read 30 minutes in bed instead of
Wow,
going watching TV. It's just, I want that for anyone, any age, if you can pick up something and just wants you to spend that time. So it doesn't have to be some important high literature, some classics, and just doesn't matter what people read.
just
And I feel
reading.
my books too,
Mm.
it's not amazing literature, it's just entertainment. And that's all it needs to be too. Yeah.
No, no, I think you are just being humble, nothing more than that.
Oh, thank
I can see from your website and your books that you had been writing
you. Oh,
amazing
thank you
things.
very much.
Okay, and then last question, of course, what would you like to advise to the new writers or illustrators who are trying to find their path?
It's just don't think it's difficult or impossible, or the market is filled with great books. There's no space for my story. It really is, and it's not that hard. And you just have to accept all those no's before you get that one yes. And just don't give up. Just put in the time, time, time. Write for your own, like you write your story as you would want to read it, and somebody else will want to read it too. And like I said, it's just so much information out there today, how to improve your writing and how to get published or even become an indie author. They're making such big successes now,
Mm.
publishing their own books. Just make sure that you just don't write and publish. You need to get that professional input from the outside still, even if you just hire your own editor, for example. And I really feel like if I could make it, then anyone could. I wasn't good in Norwegian in school. You know, I was a dreamer and doing my little artworks. And it's just, um, you just acquire the skills you need while you go. And
Mm.
with illustrations too, it's just put in hours of practice, no matter what type of illustration you do, if you do it digital or just pen, paper, anything. As long as you practice enough, you will become good enough. Definitely.
So it's all about will and
Yeah.
how much time you can give and your
Yeah.
imagination and
And
everything.
don't take it personal when you get
Mm.
rejected, because everyone will get
Yeah,
rejected the
and
first
you
times, and
learned,
it can be devastating.
yeah, and you learned
So
this lesson in early age when he said, "Oh, they will say no and no's are not bad."
mm,
At least
exactly.
you
Yeah.
tried. You tried it.
Yeah. Don't give up. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Okay, Ida, any last words for our today's chit chat? Then I will
No, just
go.
so surprising to all of a sudden be here with you, and so happy it happened. And there you go. I'm so glad you asked. There you go. It's just you have an idea
Mm,
and you ask, and
mm.
something very wonderful could happen from it. So I'm so glad we met that one day. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Jab we met. There's an
Yeah.
Indian movie, Jab we met. It means
Yeah.
when we met.
There you go.
And there was a romantic story actually just by chance. So this
It
happened
happens a
between,
lot. Yeah.
yeah, between you and me. Jab we met, when we met.
Yes.
Okay, Ida,
Wonderful.
thank you very much for
No,
sharing
thank
your
you very, very
journey with
much.
us today. And your story is, of course, truly inspiring. And from a small farm in Norway to Italy, North, South, Japan, Florida, Miami, Fangsel, which means jail, prison, travel, literature, and then illustrations, and then courage and creativity, and whatever you could bring to this morning to my
Oh,
channel
thank you very
Shell
much.
Story. It was beautiful,
So
it was
nice.
adventurous, it was romantic, and your passion, how positive you are even in the very bad shapes, and especially your mom, say thanks to her and my
I
regards to her,
will,
that
yes.
how she was just at the worst time of your life, she just said,
Mm.
okay, it will go. So this is the
So
courage
true. Yes,
which you
yes.
got.
Very
That is
true.
true. And thank you
Oh,
very
thank you
much,
very much. Yeah.
Ida. Yeah,
It's
it
been
was
so
really,
nice.
yeah, it was really nice listening to you. I was all ears, although meanwhile I had been
Oh,
sharing the link with my friends and then
yeah.
answering to some of them. But of course, I was all ears, and I thoroughly
Mm.
enjoyed each and every word of yours.
Mm. Thank you for letting me share my
Yeah,
story.
yeah. This is beautiful story and very
Mm.
inspiring as well for me and for
Thank you.
many other uh, people, especially women. It's really
That's true.
inspiring. And now, just a common, ordinary mom,
Mm. Exactly.
just following the little girls.
Mm. So true.
This is what I saw you, and today, just a different girl in front of me, for
Oh,
15, 16 years old, beautiful girl,
oh, thank
and
you.
doing horse trainings and the martial arts and bodyguards and arms and missions and so many things. Okay, and for our viewers, thank you for joining us on my channel, and I hope that you feel inspired and uplifted by Ida's incredible journey. And you remember that creativity and resilience, as we have observed in Ida, it can transform any challenge into very beautiful thing. like she herself, and her creativity, either in the case of books or illustrations or magazines or her web page, and beautiful daughters. Of course, I have met with one of them, and say my regards and love to the little princess who
Yeah.
was who inspired me that why not to ask her, and then we are connected. And for the viewers, stay connected, keep exploring, and I look forward to welcoming you all again in any other Shell's Diaries series. And Ida, yes, one thing before leaving, I contacted the lady you told me,
Yes,
and
she's another inspiring woman for
yeah,
sure.
she is. I would, of course, I would love to talk to her as well, but I haven't received any response
Yeah.
from her yet. But of course, I'm looking forward to talk to her as well.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah, so we will be. And Ida, once
Oh, great.
again, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
See you again, maybe
See
when
you
your
very
new books
soon, I'm
come,
sure.
and
Yes,
or
thank
anything
you.
else happens in our life. Till that moment, have
Yes,
a
we'll stay in
really,
touch.
really nice time,
Oh, thank
and
you.
goodbye.
Talk
Allah
to you soon.
Hafiz. Allah Hafiz. Thank you.
Bye.